How's it going, everyone? It's DJ. Today we're going to be doing a class on, it's basically a job skills class. I was thinking about it, and I figure, once we get back to once things are more normal, things are doing a little bit, better in California, which is really good. But we need to stick with social distancing right now. We need to stick with making sure we're wearing masks, washing our hands. Um, I have kind of a rule, or we have a rule in our house now, that if we go out shopping or anything like that, we go out into the world. When we come back in, we call them COVID clothes, because I don't want anything on my clothes. So the minute I get back home, I change clothes so that everything goes in the hamper. I'm gonna wash those clothes and I put on a new pair of clothes. So it's no COVID clothes in the house is basically the rule. So we need to stick with that. But to get back to our normal, we need to do our due diligence. And once we do, though, and things will get back to normal, because we're a very perseverant country, and people will survive, and we do survive. But once we do, I figure we're going to start looking for jobs again. And we need to start thinking about our futures, especially now as we've gone through this, or going through this pandemic. We need to know that having money and having a secure job is something that is very important, because a lot of people have actually lost their jobs, unfortunately, during this time. But there are a lot of jobs that are still open, and a lot of them are kind of first-time jobs, which would be, for you all, kind of what you'll be going into, is a first-time job. And so I'm going to go over some of the stuff that we're going to do, but I'm going to give you a little bit of background on myself and my work experience. I started working probably around 9 or 10. I would do odd jobs. Pardon me. I would do odd jobs like I would house, or like neighbors would go on vacation and I would go over and feed their pets, things like that. And I'd get paid for that. Obviously I come from a big family, so I would, babysit quite a bit. But my real first job was my paper route, where I actually, was paid through a company to go deliver papers. And I did that, for, as much as I could. Sometimes I'd go out really early in the morning. Sometimes I'd have to go out in the afternoon after I got back from school. But, like 9 or 10 years old is when I had that. I took it over for somebody. They couldn't do their route anymore, and they asked me if I wanted to, and they gave me all the gear. You put the thing on, put the papers in there, you go throw the paper, kind of learn how to throw a little bit. But at the same time, if you miss the porch, you have to go over and pick it up, and you don't want to get in anybody's plants or anything like that. People get upset when you do that. But that was my first job. When I was around 13, 14, I worked at my family's business. We had a bindery, which, they binded books. So I would go there. It's my favorite smell in the world is the bindery. I don't know why. It's a weird smell, but I love that smell. But my grandpa worked there. He was the one who founded the business with his brother. My dad worked there. So I'd work there and over the summers. And I would do riveting and all sorts of embossing and things like that for different projects that they had going on. But it was always nice to have money in my pocket for the summer, So, I'd work a couple of months in the summer, and that was another job that I actually, I had that, I think, I'm not sure if I paid taxes on that. I should ask my dad. I'm not positive. But I've been working from a very young age, But my first job, when it came to me doing it myself, because the paper route kind of fell in my lap, working for my dad is, that was, and my grandpa, that was just something you kind of did, especially as a first son. It's like it's expected of you in my family. But my first job that I had in high school was I worked at a movie theater. And, that was one where I went in and I applied and I got the job. And I had a lot of friends that worked there. Some people I didn't know. But they said, we have some openings, so if you want to come in, and it was great to be able to have money during the week in high school. Spending money, especially because I had a car, and so I had to make sure that the insurance was paid. I had to make sure I had gas, And you kind of need a job for that, otherwise the car just sits. And I'd rather drive to school than not. But I had that job, and they had me have a uniform on. I remember it had a vest. It was a burgundy vest. You had to have black slacks on. I had a bow tie, and they gave me a little name tag. It didn't even have my name on it. I remember it was somebody else's name because there was like a grace period where they're like, well, some people quit actually after a short amount of time, and so they would not give you a name tag with your name until you've kind of proven yourself that you're going to stay, and then you'd get your name tag like, oh, he stayed 3 months or whatever. So now you can have your name tag with your actual name, which is kind of embarrassing because people would call me by the other name, and I'd look around like, oh, that's right, I have a fake name. But but again, having a job was very important. It's always been important to my family to work, and it's something that eventually, the way we work at the park, you all work, and actually landscaping is a great job. So working at the park, working at the Rodeo Senior Center, these are great, really slight beginning jobs. But eventually, you're going to hit a job where you're going to be working, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. You're going to have a set schedule. It's not going to be, oh, I have the park this week, or somebody's going to get my shift, or depending on what's going on. Eventually, it's going to be you. And you're going to have to figure everything out. Make sure that you're there on time. Make sure that you're ready for your job, in order to become independent and move out. And, that's what this class is about, is to make sure that you're prepared and ready to go for your first job. It's a very important thing. Like your first job where everything is kind of scheduled out, and you need to make sure that you're listening to the management there, and you're on time, and you keep this job. And we'll go over some things. I'll go more in depth as to how I have always worked with jobs, but at the same time, you have to get your feet wet first and start out and really just listen and buckle down. But it's worth it. It is. Once you're like a couple of months in and you realize you've gotten into the swing of it, it's kind of like learning how to ride a bike. Once you've got it, you're like, oh man, this is awesome. So much freedom all of a sudden that you didn't realize you could have that easily. But it's there, and you can do it. You just have to get started. First things first, one thing, my whole life pretty much, well, ever since I decided to choose, I've had the long hair. One thing with jobs, though, especially if you're working around food, is, like even just at the movie theater, they don't want you to have your hair down. So I always had to put it up. So I'm going to put my hair up. Yep. And that's one of the things you got to make sure that, if your boss asks you to put your hair up, you should put your hair up. If it's getting in the way of anything, it makes life easier. I always, putting my hair up isn't that hard. So I'd always do it. And then the minute, I get off my shift, I can let my hair down. But again, if you're working around food, nobody wants hair in their food. And so, even this, I guess, that's a good thing I don't work with food right now, because they might ask me to shave this. Because, little bits fall out sometimes. Yeah, it happens. Anyway, so we're going to go over some things when it comes to a job, and what's important about a job, and why it's important to have a job, and what it will do for you. Because that's what I care about. I care about you all, and your independence, and you getting to move out and live on your own and start really being independent in your life, which you can do. Getting your driver's licenses, learning to drive, all of this is great work. But at the same time, once you have all that stuff, those are means to a new end, which is getting a job so you can drive there, work, go home, and then spend your money on what you want to do. And it's freedom, and it's wonderful. So here are 6 key benefits to basically, oh no, it's gonna fall. Oh, I caught it. Good. 6 key benefits to basically your first job. So, the first benefit is ka-ching. You're going to make some money. So, you will earn money. So, the most obvious is you'll make money. You'll probably start out with minimum wage, which, right now in Richmond is not bad. It's $15 an hour. So if you're living there, pretty much that's what you're going to get paid. So that's not a bad wage at all. Yeah, it's not a bad wage at all. So, and if you're working full time, you can really put it together a little bit of a nest egg. And that's working anywhere. To start out at $15 an hour. When I started out, minimum wage was $3.75 an hour. I remember how happy we were when it got bumped to $4 an hour. Now it's $15 an hour. That's an incredible difference. Inflation is kind of an amazing thing. But your expenses probably aren't that big right now, and so having that extra money is a wonderful thing. And you can start out. A lot of people, when they start out, you'll have extra money, and you don't need to move out immediately from your house. What a lot of my family did was they would get a job, they'd stay living with my family, and then they would build up money. Pay a little bit of rent to my mom and my stepfather, and then they would just kind of build up money, and then finally have a little bit of a nest egg and be like, we're ready to move out, we're ready to be comfortable. And you could do that. But saving is a very important thing, but then you'll have money. So yeah, so once you get a job, and having that extra money means that you should have a what? You should have a bank account. Once you start making money, it's important that you learn to save money. I'm not the greatest at it. I have extra money. It seems to burn a hole in my pocket because I go right through it. But at the same time, I still have some savings, because I do save. But it's important to save. So open up a checking account, which, once you do move out, you want a checking account, which things just like your bills and things will just kind of roll out of there. And then on the side of that, you'd want a savings account. But you'll have that extra money, and you just kind of split it up. And I can always help you guys with that. We can always go down to your bank and kind of figure out what plans you have once you have a job. And, your ILS workers can help with that. Your case managers can help with that. I can help with that. Just kind of setting things up for your success in the future. But again, it all kind of is on you getting a job and the desire to want that job. Number 2, you'll learn new skills. And it's very true. And skills, again, it says that you're guaranteed to pick up skills you didn't know you had before. And everybody is good at different things. We're all not, and it's beautiful, we're all our own snowflakes or different patterns that are, fingerprints that aren't one and the same. We're all different. And we all have different skill sets from what we've learned through our time on this planet. We all come from different backgrounds. None of us are the same. And you'll kind of suddenly realize, the skills that you have. But you want to, what goes along with this is that you'll want to, this is where it's really important for you to listen to your managers, to listen to the people that are teaching you. So you'll learn new skills, but the only way you do that is by listening, is by actually making sure that you're taking into account what the managers are saying. They say, this is the best way to do it. This is the best way I know how to do it. You do it that way. You listen to them, and, eventually, as things move on, the way I've always done it is, I listen for each job I have. I start out, I'm at the bottom rung. I've got to build my way up. And then eventually, what you do is you say, okay, well, I've got the basics down. Now, I kind of see the whole picture. I've got this down. I'm doing it really, easily and fun. But that's what it is. The next step is fun for me. The minute that you have everything down, then you can start to make things fun. But then you can also start to make changes. But you'll learn new skills. And once you have those skills, they can start to translate to other jobs that you might want that are even better than the job that you have. But these new skills, like learning a cash register, learning to calculate money, tabulate things like that, learning how to deal with customers and talking to customers, learning to work with your workmates, and make sure that it's a happy environment, and that you're not crossing any lines, because no matter what, when you have a job, it's not there to go there to hang out with your friends. What it is that it's there to go to work. But you can still have fun. If people come in, and it's most of the time, first time jobs, it's customer service. If people see you come in and you have a good attitude, you're smiling, you're hanging out, and you're being fun, but at the same time professional, that's what people want to see. That is fun. That is and it'll keep people coming back. And then your boss starts to see that, and they'll be like, maybe management. So number 2, you'll learn new skills. And that's very true. And skills that you didn't even know you had. Number 3, you'll gain work experience. It is very difficult, and you guys are actually in kind of a good place. It's difficult for people to even, it was tough for me, because even though I had jobs when I was a kid, my paper route, and working for my family's company, for my first job, that didn't mean I had any real job experience of showing up on time and doing everything that needs to be done. So when I worked at the movie theater, it really was my first job, because they're like, well, we don't know how good of a worker you are, and so you're going to be tested. And it's difficult to get that first job. Y'all are kind of in a good place, because if you go through CSS, as long as they're still doing everything they're doing, we'll find out after the pandemic is over. But we'll kind of find out from them that they'll find you a job. They will help, and your case manager will help. Your ILS workers can help. I can help it program. I can't really help outside of that, but that's why you have these extra resources. But once you have that opportunity to have that job, people are going to pull a lot of strings for you. So you've got to be serious. We've had a lot of different individuals go to work, and they still have their jobs, and they're still working really hard. And then you'll have that experience. And what happens with that experience is just like with the park, the senior center, you can put that on a resume. And then when you find another job that you want to do, and you say, hey, look, but again, when you have that experience, the only way it counts is if you do it for an extended period of time. A lot of people think, oh, I had a job for a month, and then they quit. Well, what does that look like on a resume? The first thing I would ask as a boss, and I've been in charge, and I've hired people before, and that would be a red flag for me. Let's say, so I see here that you put this down on your resume. You worked there for a month. Why so short a time? Because what that says to me is they might not be committed to the job. The base, and to me the very base of having a job, if you're going to get one and you want to put it on a resume, is you have to work there at least 4 months. I would say 6 months, but at least 4 months. If it's not 4 months, it's a red flag for people, because they'll be like, well, you're not going to stay here either, then are you? So why should we hire you when we have this person over here who stayed at their other job for years, but now they want something new? Well, that to me shows that they're steadfast and they're ready to go. So again, you'll gain the work experience, but you need to put your time in. If you don't like it, well, you're going to have to lump it a little bit. That's what life is. We're not going to like every job we have. I've had many jobs that I didn't like, but I stuck through it. And I got through my period of time, and then I'd go find another job. And the other thing is, as you're gaining that experience, if you really don't like the job, you can go to somebody else and say, hey, I'm working right now, but I'm also keeping my options open, and I would like to try maybe your company. What do you have to offer? But do that as you're still working. Don't quit after a month and then say, because people aren't going to want to hire you. Especially in our position now with CSS, if they pull all these strings and then you decide, oh, nah, this isn't for me, I don't want to do it, it's going to be more and more difficult for them to want to, do more favors for you. So again, you'll have that work experience, but again, it's all on you. The onus falls on you ultimately. Give it some time. Everything is uncomfortable at first that you haven't done before. Not everything, but most things are, especially when it comes to work and listening to other people. But you could do it. And I believe in y'all. Okay, and then the fourth one is you'll learn more about what kind of career you want. And it is based on trying out different things that you like. I've worked many jobs. had so many jobs, and I've realized what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. I realize where I excel and where I don't excel. Like, I don't really like, I can do it and I have, but I don't really like office work. I'd rather be out and doing things. I'd rather be an active part of the community. I'd rather be hands-on and actually seeing things get done, as opposed to directing things from an office. Both have benefits. You get paid more if you're in an office, and some people really like that. Like, I have an office, and they're happy about that. I don't know. For me, like at my job here, my van is my office. That's my place. And I get and it's mobile. It can take me to a mountain as opposed to an office where no matter what, I just have a window. But that's me. But again, you'll be able to try out different jobs, try out what you like, try out things that you're like, no, why not apply for it? I've gotten jobs that I didn't know that they would ever hire me for, and I had no experience, like, in that job. I'm like, well, I'm gonna try for it anyway. I mean, when I worked at the YMCA, I played as a basketball coach. I've never been a basketball coach. I mean, I did, like, for kids at my church when I was a kid, when I used to go to church, and I would coach a little bit there, but that was all the experience I had. There's some people that have been coaching kids' teams that I got the job over, but it doesn't mean you don't apply. That's the whole thing, is apply for these jobs, and then find out if it's something you're good at. And I found out I wasn't the greatest basketball coach of all time. I did all right. But then I found other places within the YMCA where I was working, and I really excelled there. And so new opportunities open up. So again, you'll be able to kind of figure out, where do you fit in? What is your niche? Where is it that you really shine? And that's what you want to find. Because if you like your work and you want to go to your work every day, and you're getting paid for it, that's the best you can hope for in life. And that's one thing that the United States actually is very good at, is offering a lot of different things. But again, we got to get through this pandemic. But first, you got to get your feet wet. Start with a job, your first job, and then build from there. But, again, you got to put the time in. But you can do it. Okay, number 5. You'll meet new people. And it's very true. You'll meet some amazing people. And your coworkers, it's just like coming to program in a way. You come into a new situation, you start working with people, you see how they work, you see if they work like you do, if they don't work like you do. And you'll have friends for life. I mean, a lot of my work friends are my friends for life because I've worked with them. And we've been through tough times together, we've been slammed in different jobs where it's like suddenly it's so busy and you just buckle down together and you're like, it's me and you, and there's this huge crowd of people, and we've got to get through it. I'll tell you one quick story. When I was working at the movie theater, there was one time that we were there, whole crowd of people came in. It was a brand new movie, and the projector burned the film, burned it all, and everybody in the crowd was upset. They were not happy. And I wasn't a manager at the time, so I was like, oh man, that's too bad. Like, glad I don't have to be the manager right now. But the manager came over to me because he was my friend. And he's like, DJ, I need your help with this. He's like, you like to make people laugh and you make people comfortable, so I need your help. And I was like, I don't want to help. Like, I'm not getting paid for this. This is your job. But I did. I went and helped. And, we told people we're refunding your money. You come back anytime and you've got yourself a free ticket. And then we gave them an extra free ticket. So, they got 2 shows for one. But you had to calm down the whole crowd. But then, again, that experience, to go through that with a person, those tough times where things are so busy, and then you get through it, and at the end of the day, you're like, man, I don't think I could have got through this with many other people, but I trust you now. And so you'll meet new people, wonderful people. You'll have good managers and bad managers, but a lot of times some of my worst managers have become some of my best friends because, we would discuss things. They would have their point of view, I would have mine, but they would be willing to discuss. And at first I didn't like them, and after a while, it really came down to we got along really well, and I like that. And then the very last one is you'll gain independence. Now, this is what is most important. Independence is what we're looking for at program all the time. It is the highlight of inroads, is for you to be independent and go on and move on to you taking care of your bills, you taking care of everything of your own life, of being able to go out and getting married, do whatever you want to do, or not get married, but figuring out what you want to do with your life. And you'll find that in a job. You'll find the freedoms and the things that you want, you don't want. And then you can go to your own home eventually and be like, I'm done. I want to go home. I want to go to bed. I've worked my job. This is my place. This is mine. And I own this. I am independent. I don't need anyone else. I've done my job. I've done my work. I'm going to go home and I'm going to play. I can play my video games. I can watch movies. I can watch TV. I can clean the house. I can go jogging. Whatever you want to do. Once you've worked that day and you've made your money and you can go out to eat, whatever you want to do. It's, that's the independence. It suddenly opens up so many more avenues. And that's what I want for y'all. And, and it teaches you that. Because, again, you're going to have to listen. You're going to have to be there on time. You're going to have to be ready to go at all times. And that's what the next class is part of the job is being punctual. And being there on time. Being responsible for your time. And eventually, everything, once you've got your feet wet, when you're first starting a job, what they're going to do is they're going to show you, this is what you need to do, then this is what you need to do, then this is what you need to do. And then they'll kind of help you through it till you understand it. Once they see you understand it, they'll say, now you've got it. Now it's for you. So you do it yourself. And then you'll have those responsibilities and taking care of your job duties by yourself. And they're not going to help you anymore. It's up to you because you've got it. And you can. And they want to see you excel. Most jobs, they want to see their employees excel. That's what they want. At least if it's a good job. So I implore to you that, you go out and find these jobs. Gain that independence. Be happy. Use the resources around you. Use me. Use your case manager, ILS workers, CSS. Use everything. But get out there and start doing it. And you'll be happy. And, it'll open up avenues that you didn't know were available. And I really look forward to you all being independent. And I get to come see you at your jobs and be like, wow, look at him. Look at him go. And just to be very proud. I'm proud of y'all anyway, but, it would just be amazing to go see. So, again, let's get our feet wet. Let's get out there once this thing is done and start working towards your future. Because the future is now, as they say. And, yeah, and I want the best for you. So, part 2 will be on punctuality. And that is a huge part of keeping a job and maintaining a job. So, part 1 is done. Just getting a job, getting your feet wet. Part 2 will be on punctuality. All right. I'll see y'all in a little bit for the next class. Bye.